Get ready, everyone, and you just might survive. Ruben and Jason are here with their X-Men deep dive. Going through all the X-books is their mission, so get ready for the Learned Edition. Things are getting weird in here. Ruben hopes another sword book gets announced this year. It's the Weird Dose of X, the X-Men comic show. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed not to blow, except your mind. It's the Weird Dose of X, the X-Men comic show. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed not to blow, except your mind.
Welcome, all you weirdos, people who feel a little trapped in your own hometowns, and everyone who has recently been displaced into this universe from another time, or perhaps another universe entirely. Please subscribe. It is time to receive your 178th Weird Dose of X, the mutant member of your Weird Science podcast family. I am your glad it's curling season again host, Jason, and with me, as always, is a man who has murdered at least 19 Seraphim. It's my pal, Mad Dog Ruben. Hey, Mad Dog, how the heck are you today?
Filled with murderous intent.
As always, I would expect no less. So yeah, curling season has started for me. I had my very first curling of the year this past Thursday, and my cockatoo injured hand is mostly back in mid-season form. My release is still a little bit off. I'm blaming it on the cockatoo, because, got to blame it on somebody, better than blaming it on myself. But yeah, that started up. How is your curling season so far, Ruben?
Yeah.
Yeah, about as bad as usual?
Yeah. Yes, yeah.
There is some Olympic level curling news. So the U.S. has been represented by Team Schuster for every Olympics since 2006, but in the qualifiers this year, they were just defeated by Team Casper. So look for that new American team when it comes time to cheer them on in Milan, Italy in 2026.
Oh, I am, for sure.
Wonderful.
Are you a sweeper as well, or you just throw the, whatever they called?
Well,
the discs.
Everybody, there's 4 people on a team, and for every end, which is like an inning, every end, each member of the team throws 2 stones. So everybody throws stones. The skip doesn't do a lot of sweeping, because the skip, when he's not throwing, he mostly kind of just stands there and tells people what to do. So this season, I'm a vice, meaning I do a lot of sweeping, and also I'm kind of like the assistant skip, helping the usually newer curlers who curl, lead in second, helping them know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a lot of sweeping. I do, between the birds and the curling, and especially back when I had kids, I've done a lot of sweeping in my life, more than most people, I would say. I've done a full lifetime of sweeping.
Are you pro sweeper then at your house? Does curling translate into domestic chores?
I am. I do most of the sweeping. I'll put it that much. My wife, when she sweeps, she doesn't listen to this, so I can say it. She's not very good at sweeping. She's better at sweeping than she is at doing dishes.
Yeah.
I don't think she does it on purpose, but I've been married for over 25 years, Ruben, and I'm pretty sure I have lovingly, silently rewashed every dish she has ever washed. Because it's just many, many wonderful skills and talents my wife has.
Washing dishes is not one of them.
Not
yeah.
one of them. Which, is
it's not the worst thing to be weak at. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so that's enough domestic and curling news. How about a little bit of comic book news? Closing a little bit closer to our core topic.
Mm-hmm.
On the Marvel show recently, they were talking about whether or not various animals can vomit. Did you catch that one?
No, not yet.
So I don't think we don't need to go to that subject, because Jim and Simon, I think, have that topic well covered. We're going to talk about another Marvel Cosmic spinoff, spinning off from Imperial. No surprise. Marvel had already announced that an Imperial Guardians book would be coming in winter 2026, and the new announcement just says that Imperial Guardians #1 will be hitting comic shops on March 11th, 2026. Technically still winter for like a week and a half before the solstice there. And the writer of that book will be Dan Abnett, veteran writer of Guardians of the Galaxy, among a ton of other stuff, who also wrote that one shot that was part of the event.
Yeah, I recognize the name. I don't remember if I've actually read his Guardians run, though, so I'm not sure if I'm excited about this or not. But I do like the Guardians cast, so I'll at least check out issue 1.
You mean this particular Guardians cast or the Guardians in general?
This specific cast. I like that it's kind of mixed up.
Yeah, this is an unusual cast because at the end of the one-shot, we learned that the cosmic Ghost Rider of all people was working for Maximus of the Inhumans, and Maximus in that book had Ghost Rider, Zap, Gamora, and Darkhawk to prevent them from letting the rest of the galaxy know that Varanke was a fake. And the new ongoing, Ghost Rider, Gamora, Darkhawk, they'll all be working for Maximus, as will Captain Marvel and Amadeus Cho. Not sure how they get this team together, why everybody decides to work for the one Inhuman guy who's been kicked out of the Inhumans, but presumably the first issue will fill us in on that.
Yep.
So yeah, I like that one shot a lot. I think I gave it like an 8.5. I'm glad that we have some Inhumans content somewhere.
Yeah, you got to deal with them. It was a big deal of the event, right?
Right. I'm still expecting a full-on Inhumans book about Black Bolt and that end of things somewhere, but haven't heard anything yet. This is called Imperial Guardians. It will be following the legacy number of Guardians of the Galaxy. So it is the Guardians of the Galaxy book with a slightly wonky name. So if you're collecting that title, I guess you got to buy this now. Collecting's weird. Okay, let's move on to a book we don't have to collect because it's on the app in digital form. It is X-Men Age of Revelation Infinity Comic Chapter 6, Perdition Lost, Part 3 of 3. It is written by Tim Seeley, art by Philip Sevy, colors by Michael Bartolo, and letters by Clayton Coles. So I don't think we've actually spoken about the title, Perdition Lost. Does that ring any classical literature bells for you there?
No.
Then I really should talk about it. It is a reference to a John Milton epic poem written in English in the 1600s. It's called Paradise Lost. Now, Paradise Lost tells the story of Adam and Eve getting their butts kicked out of the Garden of Eden. Perdition Lost, this X-Men story, tells the story of Illyana Rasputin, or at least the Dark Child, finding her way out of limbo. So, classical reference. Yeah, I think you can get some continuing education credit for listening to me, can't you? Look it up. See if you can. There's at least 2 credits somewhere.
I'll file with the Washington State Bar.
I mean, maybe not law stuff, but somebody can get some sort of continuing education credit. A little science, little literature, little math now and again, some linguistics.
Schwarzschild.
All sorts of things. There we go. I can't.
Schwarzschild.
Is it? Okay. See, there's another credit.
I know you're excited to listen to this, but
okay,
we need more content than that, man.
This chapter right here, it's a quick read. No real twists happening. Everything that was set up in the previous chapter just kind of happens. We know that Magic had been killed by Nick Fury Jr. Her soul had gone to Limbo, where it split in half, Illyana being in the possession of the demon Belasco, and Darkchild in the possession of the demon Sim. Last chapter, Illyana and Darkchild schemed together. We don't know how they were communicating, but they schemed together to get their respective demons to be kind of angry at each other. And in this chapter, those 2 demons go to war. Belasco kills Sim, and then Illyana and Darkchild join forces. They kind of grab hands Wonder Twin style, and that lets them manifest the Soul Sword. They use that to kill Belasco. I guess that's what's happened.
Yeah, that does happen, and this whole chapter annoyed me because I don't know why that works, but it does, apparently.
It's like they didn't have enough soul to do it individually, but together they had enough.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the sword being physical or not, they are in limbo, so the rules are going to be different. Limbo doesn't have to make sense. That's the beauty of it. So I guess Belasco and Sim are really dead now. Whether that means anything again in Limbo, because, Limbo, I don't know. And here's the bit that would kind of confuse me. With Belasco dead, Darkchild grabs his Bloodstone necklace. And this was set up from the beginning. We knew this was kind of a big deal. Darkchild says, "Thank you, Illyana, for your assistance, but now the fragments of your soul within the Bloodstone are mine, as is your flesh." So there in Limbo, Illyana's spiritual body fades away. Then we cut back to the real world, and we're right at the start of the Age of Revelation, like 5 seconds after Magic dies in that disastrous raid to get Fabian Cortez out of the S.H.I.E.L.D. prison. And that dead Magic there on the ground comes right back to life, except, of course, she's the Dark Child now.
Yeah. I didn't learn anything from this event.
No, that's not really how I had pictured Darkchild coming back. I thought there was like a time in between Magic being dead and then sometime later Darkchild showed up, but like 5 seconds. It does. I look back at the Zero issue where all it says is, while Maria Hill stayed dead, the Darkchild did not. Doesn't show how she came back, so it doesn't contradict anything except my own kind of mental picture of stuff.
Yeah, it also
right.
means really everything that happened in Limbo happened like really in a compressed timeline. It was weird.
Well, I'm okay with that. I mean, time flowing differently in Limbo, that's been established. For me, it makes me think of like Narnia. Have you read the old Narnia books?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like in the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the kids go into the wardrobe, into Narnia when they're little kids. They live like decades in Narnia. And then when they come back out through the wardrobe, they're little kids again. No time has passed. Mm-hmm. So I figured Limbo has Narnia kind of roles. What is the deal with that bloodstone necklace? I didn't really understand that. Was there more to it than it's just some doohickey to make Darkchild show up?
I think it's something that Belasco has that is relevant to Magic's continuity, but I just don't know her well enough.
This does it doesn't contradict the latest Magic volume, but it does like thematically contradict it, because the whole point of that, as I recall, was to have Ilyana and the Darkchild kind of come to terms with each other, and then immediately here in the Age of Revelation, Darkchild's I'm just going to take over. We're not friends anymore. Mm-hmm. So there are definitely people who are huge fans of that Magic volume who are upset at this, and I wasn't a big fan of that Magic volume, so I'm okay with it, but still was a little weird. I was kind of hoping for a little more about what happened with Darkchild after she came back, like how she winds up in Providence, how she takes over, what the relationship is between her and Dougie, but we don't get any of that at all. So not going to really score this. It's not a wow chapter, but once again, perfectly adequate to read when you're waiting in line at the bank. Not a whole lot more than that.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add about this story?
Nope.
Okay, then let us move on to what is clearly the biggest book of the week, Amazing X-Men number 3 of 3. The title of this issue is Philadelphia. Technically, this is the end of the series, Amazing X-Men, but I mean, not really, because the actual end of the event will be in the finale issue that drops on New Year's Eve. This is very much more of a penultimate, maybe even anti-penultimate issue. Like, if you're going to read these 3 issues, you do not have a story on your own, right? You need the Zero issue, you need the overture, you're going to need the finale for this to be any kind of a story. It is written by Jed McKay, art by Mahmoud Asrar, colors by Matthew Wilson, and letters by Clayton Coles. And so, Ruben, this whole event might not be what we've been led to believe it is. I've been complaining kind of often that I didn't see how our Doug Ramsey, even after being changed by Apocalypse, how he could do the things that we see Revelation do in this timeline. Well, maybe it's not the same Doug Ramsey. We'll certainly get to that. So our crew of surviving X-Men is Cyclops from the past, Beast from the past, or at least a past, Psylocke, formerly one of Doug's Seraphim, Mad Dog Glob Herman, Animalia, and
Schwarzschild.
I don't know why he says his name 3 times, but that's okay. They had that little detour to Providence, and they're now on the outskirts of Philadelphia. We open with a bit of bickering between the team members because, Psylocke is on the team, but, she's still mad that Glob has been killing all her dudes. So, they're not really happy team members yet, reasonably enough. And then Psylocke finally reveals what it was that Bay the Blood Moon told her all the way back in that Overture issue, something we've been wanting to know. And here's what Psylocke says. Revelation intended to remake the world in his image. Literally. The X-Virus had changed the land as well as the people upon it, but it has also linked them. Revelation intends to convert the entire biomass of the territories, land, animals, people, into himself. So I guess that's the plan? Dougie, the living planet?
Yep.
What do you think of this plan?
I think it's super weird, but it's interesting. I kind of like how goofy it is. I also helps me understand why Apocalypse was kind of like, hey, I didn't give you these powers to do that nonsense.
Yeah. It's very much not survival of the fittest. It's kind of like survival of everybody, but not as themselves anymore.
Yeah.
It
I need
kind of
more
feels like
information.
Go ahead.
I need more information. If I was subject to this, I'd be like, okay, let's hear this pitch. It might not be such a bad thing, like if you get to retain your independent will, but you're like, shared collective.
Yeah. It feels kind of like a far future Hickman sort of idea, right?
Mm.
Like the Dominions all joined together, the hive minds, all that kind of nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like that, but biological, where the Hickman stuff was mostly technological.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've read this same idea in like a classic science fiction novel from like the 50s through the 70s, but I can't come up with it. So if anybody out there can remember what novel it was where people had to decide, are we going to join together in a collective, like to fight the aliens or not? I can't remember which one it was, but I feel like I've read this before.
I think McKay needs to be like, and then they're going to become a technarch.
It does have hints of that. It really does.
Yeah.
We need some data pages, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway,
how many galaxies are you controlling? Maximizing the resources of.
Right. And hive mind Dougie versus the technarchy, that could happen. Maybe that's what they're hinting at in that Avengers book that we hate so much.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what Jason Lewis is trying to get at. Could be the most important book of the entire event.
That's
probably
too funny.
Not. So with that disclosure dumped, it's time for an action scene. It's an X-Men book, gotta have an action scene. In this issue, that scene kicks off when a group of Seraphims spot the X-Men, which should not be surprising. The X-Men are hanging out right outside Philly, taking zero precautions against being seen. These Seraphim, I think they're brand new characters. Did you recognize anybody here?
Mm-mm.
They must be new. Glob kills one of them, who we're told is named Red Garden. Psylocke, I think, puts the rest to sleep psychically and removes the memory of the X-Men from their minds, because, they're still kind of like her teammates, even though she left the team, so she doesn't want any more bloodshed. Boy, are they going to be confused when they wake back up and they see one of them lying dead there on the ground.
Yeah, but they won't know who did it, so I get what she was doing.
I get what she's doing, but yeah, that's going to be a confusing scene. We're never going to get to see that scene, but I'm having fun imagining.
Mm-hmm.
The next scene is inside Philadelphia, so somehow they get to this safe house without being spotted. They're at a hidden X-Men base underground, and the guy who runs it is WizKid, Takeshi Matsuya. Now, last I remember him was in that Sword book, where he was like a double agent, but then it turned out he was a double agent. I forget, he was like on both sides, right? Wasn't that his deal?
I think so, something like that, yeah.
Something like that.
He was not trustworthy, I do remember that.
Right. Now here...
He's still kind of wearing that outfit, too. Didn't look like he changed his getup.
No, I guess that's kind of his look, and they didn't want to come up with a new one just for this event.
Yeah. But I'm saying even the patch is like a Sword Team patch.
Oh,
on his shoulder.
I guess that's what he considers his classic era.
Yeah.
So we find out that he was part of the whole send people back and forward in time plan. He was part of the team that made the technology that did this, along with Beast and Forge. So WizKid does not like Cyclops, or at least he doesn't like this Cyclops, because this Cyclops has not lived through that decade of crap that he's been through, the Age of Revelation.
Mm-hmm.
Cyclops does hit him with a pretty good line. He says, "I am from the past, back when the X-Men actually won their fights." No reaction from WizKid. Glob appreciated the line. Glob knows a good line when he hears one. So we should definitely talk about some of the details of the time travel bit, because they might be important. Beast asks WizKid, "Hey, how did you do it?" The answer, temporal lensing, thanks to, I'm just going to say, Schwarzschild and Zorn. So black hole stuff. Lensing is a real astronomical thing in the real world, but it has to do with light bending when it passes near a supermassive object. So like there's Hubble telescope work with this, where you kind of see two images of the same galaxy because there's some giant supermassive black hole in between, and the light bent around one way and bent around the other, so you see two images of it. So McKay's playing with that idea, but throws in the word temporal to make it time travel. That's another credit for you. So here in the comic, Beast is impressed they came up with a way to send information, like a digitized consciousness, back through time. Beast says it sidesteps a lot of the problems you'd have sending a physical object. Which, okay, I can see that. But also, Ruben, how difficult is time travel in the Marvel Universe? Doesn't seem all that hard, right? I mean, Doctor Doom does it. There's the various gizmos to do it.
Yeah.
But Okay, I can see how having it be just information, we could say it's easier, plus it sets up some possibilities that we're going to talk about. Because I've pointed out that jokingly that every time in this universe somebody teleports, there's always a glitch, right? They don't end up where they're supposed to go. Something always goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if that teleportation of consciousnesses through time also had a glitch, one that hasn't been fully noticed yet. It would fit in with these other glitches we've seen. Because Cyclops asks WizKid something interesting. Cyclops says, here's something I've been meaning to ask. When and how did you cure Magneto's resurrection-linked degeneration syndrome? Which, hey, Ruben, we had asked about that way back at the start of this issue, or this series, this whole event, when we saw Magneto running around.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good ask, because I had sort of forgotten about it, and because he was in the new suit, I thought, maybe it's just a hand wavy, like he got better, or the suit's like helping him.
Right. I had figured McKay just doesn't want to talk about that disease now. He wants to save that plot point for later on in the main book. We're just going to say nothing about it. Plus, Magneto dies really early in this event anyway, so we didn't have to get into it. But it turns out that was kind of the biggest clue all along, because WizKid has never heard of resurrection-linked degeneration syndrome.
Yeah.
As far as he knows, Magneto has been perfectly healthy up until getting murdered to death. So my theory here is, which is almost certainly wrong, my theory is this isn't really a time travel story. It's a multiverse story. So I'm thinking Cyclops didn't travel to the future. He traveled to a different universe. He got pulled out of a different universe entirely, and now he's ended up in this universe where Magneto didn't get sick, which would mean that this universe's Dougie isn't the same as our Dougie. So if I'm seeing inconsistencies, they're not the same person. What do you think of that? Ruben, was I so profound you've stopped being able to think? I don't hear a word you're saying. 24 minutes. Uh-oh. Ruben, are you there?
Yeah, I think it's, I think I buy your idea. The only other possibility that I can come up with is maybe this is like the third or fourth loop through the same timeline.
Okay.
But I don't know how that erases the Magneto stuff. Yeah, because it's like that seems to be a precursor to like where they end up in this place. So I think your multiversal idea makes more sense.
Also, we had spoken about this at the start of the event, and how the beginning of this event didn't seem to match up with what we saw in the X-Men book itself about what happened when Doug met up with the X-Men, and it seemed a little different.
Yeah.
So this could be part of that too.
Yeah, which is like, that would really be I'd give McKay a big thumbs up, because that was one of the things that was like irking me, and they sort of fixed it a little bit when they teased that this beast was not the, I don't even remember what the fake out was.
It might not be the same. We've been hinting something's up with Beast, is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
So a lot of people online have been thinking that this is the Krakoan Beast, who we know, or we suspected was still alive, because at the end of Ben Percy's Wolverine, there were two beasts, and it seemed like maybe the bad beast from Krakoa died, but we never actually saw the body down there in the ocean. So that was left open. But now this beast could be anybody, or any beast from anywhere. It could be Dark Beast from the Age of Apocalypse.
Oh God!
It could be any timeline kind of beast.
Yeah.
So something is definitely up, because we had a scene between him and Animalia, Jen, and again hinting about tell me Animalia, tell me what happened between you and me. So this beast should remember her a little bit better.
Yeah.
Right? They weren't in a full-on relationship the way Jen and Amalia remembers them, but he knew her pretty well, and he finally calls her Jen in this issue, but something is clearly weird with Beast, and we're going to have to find out what that is.
Yeah. It also makes me wonder, like, did the Cyclops of this timeline actually get sent back to, like, this Scott's timeline? And if so, like, isn't he going to be, like, extremely confused because some of the things, like Magneto being in a wheelchair, or
once again,
having powers?
It feels like half of this event is happening off screen and we don't get to see it. I really want to know what's going on there with wherever the other consciousnesses got sent. Because remember, that was supposed to be, according to the people in this timeline, the point of the consciousness swap wasn't, hey, bring Scott forward and we'll kick Doug's ass here. It was, let's go back in time and prevent this from ever existing. Which they don't mention that part of the plan in this issue. This is all about, let's defeat Doug here, and then we'll swap back, and then your Scott can fix things going forward here.
Yeah.
Which works if it's a whole different multiverse, whole different universe.
Yeah.
Doesn't really
get
work
some, like,
if
weird,
it's a timeline.
We're going to get some weird tragedy thing where like they fix things in the past, but then come back and everything's exactly the same because they didn't accomplish anything in their actual timeline.
Oh, I hope it's not this whole event turns out to just have been for nothing. That would be unsatisfying. We'll have to wait and see.
I don't know if it's for nothing. I mean, if you get people displaced through time and put into different timelines, it's still interesting. I'm actually bullish on this in the sense that I thought this was just a cliche story of you go and like avoid a dark future and then you just go back to where you were before and continue as if nothing had happened. It's like we've done that like a bajillion times. I don't know if I need that story again. So if this is something other than that, then I'm excited to see what McKay is cooking.
Yeah, let's hope it is. I don't know quite what it is. All sorts of possibilities, but don't really know yet. So we've had time to talk about this, Ruben, but our characters don't have time to talk about it themselves because there's only one page left in this issue. We used up all those pages on that fight with the Seraphim. Now it's time for the cliffhanger. The cliffhanger is Apocalypse stepping into Philadelphia through what looks like a Krakoan gate. And Ruben, who is there with the big blue guy?
Oh, I have to look at the picture again. Who is it? Just tell me.
It's Charles Xavier.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah.
Which we've only seen Charles in this issue in that one, was it World of Revelation, the anthology book, where he was the one who brought the message to Apocalypse saying, hey, Doug's doing some weird shit down here.
Yeah.
So it's fun to see Charles here. I'm wondering if Charles is going to be the one to figure out something has gone awry with these personalities moving through times or timelines or universes. Because he seems like a character well placed to be the one to explain, no, here's what really happened.
Yeah, just to look into everybody's brain and figure out what's going on.
Right.
I guess we haven't had any real psychics around, have we?
I mean, Psylocke.
Yeah.
But she hasn't really used that for a lot. I mean, is that how she got the message from Bay the Blood Moon, maybe? Was that a psychic thing? And she's used her psychic sword to, like, knock people out. But other than that, not a lot of mind stuff. Now, Ruben, there's a final little bit of text in the corner of this last page that says, what's going on? See X-Men Book of Revelation number 3, which comes out in 2 weeks, by the way. Then witness the final showdown in X-Men Age of Revelation finale. And that's the book that comes out on New Year's Eve. So, again, this is technically the last issue of the series, but very much not. Overall, Ruben, I thought this was a pretty good issue. I didn't really need the action scene. That felt kind of tacked on, but I understand that in these books, there's like a mandate. You had to have an action scene. So this was all about the twists. We get Dougie's plan. We get the hint that this is not the universe we thought it was. And yeah, I thought there's a fairly decent issue. What did you think of it, big picture?
Yeah, every time I read these issues by McKay, I'm happy with the story. I am starting to think, though, maybe you just take those issues, put them all together, and that's the book you read. Nothing quite this good is happening in the side stories, in my mind.
Agreed. Again, I'm still enjoying, like, the Undead Pool one, and the Expatriate X-Men is kind of showing some possibilities, but certainly the Jed McKay stuff, if all you read is the Jed McKay stuff, I think that's all you really have to read to understand the event.
Yeah. I also think that maybe this, multiversal idea might give us a way to get Glob back to non-murderous Glob. Maybe that was like the ultimate clue. It was like Glob not acting like Glob. Maybe Glob has always been this way.
Idea. I like
maybe
that.
He's been like a total murderous
some other
guy.
Universe where he's just been Rambo the entire time.
Yes.
That'd be pretty awesome. So I would probably give this an even higher score if Doug's plan I found more interesting. Right, the whole, I'm going to make the whole world into me. Feels like I've seen it before, felt kind of flat. And the rest of it provides lots of room for speculation, which clearly is my favorite thing in X-Men books, when I get to make up weird ideas for what might come next. So I'm going to give Amazing X-Men number 3 of 3. How about an 8.3 out of 10? A lot of threes there. How about you?
Yeah. I'll go a little higher. I'll go an 8.5.
8.5, nice.
I'm really intrigued by the time travel / multiversal kind of mashup. That was a big surprise for me, and I thought it was kind of a unique direction to take it. And also cool that, these things that we saw reading the prior issues where it felt like it was like a continuity error actually intentional.
That is nice. It's always good when you think that something was a mistake and it turns out, actually, no, that was on purpose and here's why. I appreciate that sort of thing.
Yep.
So let's go talk about a book that maybe this whole book was just a mistake. And that book is Laura Kinney's Sabretooth, number 3 of 3, really the final issue, written by Erica Schultz, art by Valentina Pinti, it's not her fault, colors by Rochelle Rosenberg, probably not her fault either, and letters by Corey Pettis, and I don't think it's his fault at all. So, Ruben, how about you tell us all about the wonderful things that happen in this comic book issue?
Well, if you're asking for the wonderful things that happened, I don't think I have anything to tell you, but I'll tell you what happens.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So, first of all, I'm going to say that the timing makes no sense to me on this, but, it starts out with Laura Kinney kind of going back to confront Revelation about, like, why did you send me on this mission to intercept people?
Let's set the big picture
murders.
scene for people who might not remember what the hell this book is about.
Yeah.
So Laura Kinney calls herself Sabretooth because she had this relationship with Sabretooth's kid. He died off screen, never get to see him. They have a kid named Alex. Alex doesn't show any mutant abilities, but may have the X gene because he's not dying from the virus. You'd think there'd be a test for the X gene or not here in the Revelation world, but that never comes up. And this is all about, does Laura want to keep Alex here with her in Philadelphia, where it's safe in one sense, or does she want to send him away to some other place, probably Araco, with Gabby and Akihiro? And she goes back and forth between those two things. Sometime in her own decision-making is flip-floppy, and sometimes Revelation changes her mind for her. So as we come into this issue, the other people have gone off to Araco. There's been a whole fight where Laura has murdered Sage, and now Revelation is telling her, hey, go get all those mutants back from Mars, which is kind of ridiculous, but that's where we are. I guess it does kind of make sense given what we just learned about Doug's plan, right? If he wants to make all the mutants into himself, he doesn't want to lose any pieces of his future self, so he needs them all.
Yeah, I guess.
That kind of makes sense.
He's already got some Wolverines, though. He's got Laura Kinney, right? Does he really need Gabby and Akihiro? And he's got
I don't know how this.
He's got 2 Wolverines, right? Like, I don't know. So,
can you ever have enough Wolverines? Marvel thinks no. Marvel thinks we always need more Wolverines.
Yeah. So the people that fled, right? They're on Araco, and they're dealing with, I guess, Apocalypse, right? Like that's what we saw at the end of issue 2.
Right.
And then we have Laura Kinney, where she failed to stop them going through the portal, and she'd killed Sage, and then she hoofs it all the way back to Revelation.
We don't know where those locations were, how far apart. It was somewhere in Philadelphia or outside Philadelphia, nearby.
It must
I don't know
be
what
like
public transportation is like there in Dougie's Philadelphia.
I know. It must be really close because she goes there. And how did she figure out she was being mind controlled? So she basically goes back and confronts him and says, I don't like that you used your voice of God on me and made me kill my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And then Logan's there. He's all over the place in all these stories. And he decides to get into a ubiquitous fight with Laura Kinney. So
that takes all of one double page spread. That's their entire fight.
Yeah. So this must be like a split second fight. And then Revelation says, hey, stop. And then the voice of God's her again to go back to Araco. And she does.
Mm-hmm. And so meanwhile, when all those mutants showed up on Mars, not Revelation, Apocalypse says, well, you're on Mars now, so you all got to fight each other.
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
So then she gets there, and the fight's still ongoing, right? So I'm like, how long was this damn fight going? Or are they just standing around waiting to start their fight until Laura shows back up?
Could be, and it's like they're fighting among themselves, like Akihiro fights Shark Girl.
Yeah.
And
Gabby's fighting Richter.
Okay. Was Richter already on Mars, or Richter came with them from Earth? I don't even remember.
Yeah, he must have been. But anyway, they're
the fight
fighting.
Doesn't get to finish because this is when Laura Sabretooth shows up.
Yeah.
With some more Seraphim goons.
Yes. Yeah. So she had time to get all the Seraphim goons together.
They go to the portal. Sage's teleportation thing to get there.
Yep. And anyways, then there's a big fight between all of them, and Laura Kinney ends up fighting with Gabby, and she stabs Gabby, and then for some reason Gabby's healing factor doesn't work anymore, and she seems to be dead.
Yeah, she stabs her. It's just one stab through like the kidney kind of section.
Yeah.
Which
I
clearly would hurt a lot, but doesn't seem worse than many other things that have happened, but it does seem to, I don't know if it kills her, but it takes her out of the fight and she's unconscious. And Laura says, oh, she'll be fine.
Yes.
But Alex is all freaked out, naturally enough. He's barely a character in this book, but he does get to be upset in this scene.
Yeah, and I get that. You don't want your mom and your aunt fighting and
stabbing each other.
Yeah, I get it. So then Dakin turns into Helverine, and then he attacks.
I think that probably happens in Philadelphia all the time anyway, but what do I know?
You're just saying this is an average Philadelphia.
Right. Outside any given Little Caesars, I think it happens all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, so Alex is just really overreacting. So anyways, Dakin turns into Helverine, and then he attacks Laura Kinney. And then Alex really freaks out, and he does like a Super Saiyan nuclear frozen explosion. I don't know.
He manifests his super generic mutant power, which is just to have this huge energy release that apparently just kills everybody, including all these people who have healing factors, because they're all dead.
Yeah.
Everybody who came from Philadelphia they're dead on the ground. Every last one of them. His mom, his aunt, whatever we call Akihiro, they're all dead. He's killed them all.
Yes.
And Apocalypse is like, good job, little bro.
Yeah, I was laughing, and I was like, this is so bad. I feel like a total jerk. But I was like, wow. Of course, this is how you end it. So he's like, yeah, good job. You're the type of mutant that we want when I talk about survival of the fittest. Now let's go to Earth and kick some ass there, too, I guess.
Yeah, so do you think that we saw that last page of Amazing X-Men where we saw Apocalypse and Charles Xavier stepping through the gate? Do you think that this little kid Alex is right behind them? Do you think he's going to be part of the finale to this event? This nothing character from a side issue? That'd be crazy,
not.
Wouldn't it?
Absolutely not. But at the same time, it makes this ending even worse, right?
Right.
He talks about
either
like,
this
let's
whole
go.
series doesn't matter, or the rest of the main event becomes infected by the ridiculousness of this side book.
Yeah.
Neither is a good answer.
The very next page is Alex saying, "No, I don't think so." And then Apocalypse going, "Okay, let me go see what Charles is up to. Maybe he'll come with
I guess so. Just because this is the next to last page when Apocalypse says, "Hey, let's go to Earth." We turn the page. He cries. He has snot coming out of his nose, and he says, "I've lost everything." And it ends with him cradling the dead body of his mother. It says, "I've lost everything, dead mom," and in tiny letters in the corner, "End." It's better than Finn, I suppose, but this was a bad book, Ruben. This was so bad. It didn't even start off good. We'll talk about Binary next, which at least had an okay premise. This was bad from the beginning through the end.
Yeah.
So anything else we can say about this before we just kick it out the door on our way out?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to think about them too much, but just it's hilarious. Like, it's just Laura Kinney. She goes to one place, she comes back. She goes back to the place, she goes back. It's like back and forth. That's all this whole series is, her going back and forth and then fighting everyone in the Wolverine family.
And she's really not the protagonist. There is no protagonist of the book. Nobody's really making decisions, right? Doug's just sending her off to places and messing with her mind. It's not that she ever decides anything on her own. Because that was kind of what was set up was, do I want my kid with me to be safe? Or do I need to send my kid away to be safe? That was never really resolved in a story fashion, in a character fashion, because they're all dead. Turns out that the kid who was never shown to have a mutant power just kills everybody. It's just a dumb ending.
Yep. Extremely dumb. I'm going to give it a 3. I thought it was just trash.
That's exactly right. I've written down a 3 out of 10, and 3 is like, I can kind of make out who the characters were. I didn't see any grammatical errors in the word balloons. I can basically follow the plot, even though it was dumb. I can follow it. Yeah. And that's a 3 out of 10. Let us hopefully never speak of this again.
Yeah.
From the ridiculous to the different kind of ridiculous, we are on to Binary, number 3 of 3. Written by Stephanie Phillips, art by Giada Belviso, colors by Rochelle Rosenberg, who has blocked Jim, letters by Travis Lanham. And yeah, Ruben, this issue is also a wreck. It's just more nonsense about how Jean is the Phoenix, and the Phoenix is Jean, and Jean is dead, except the Phoenix is alive, and so Jean is alive. Hooray! So you'll remember that Age of Revelation Jean died putting a virus shield around the Earth, even though, A, Jean has previously been shown moving like black holes and things around, which should be way harder than shielding one little planet, and also, number 2, Where am I? Here we are.
That is illogical. Odors cannot travel through the vacuum of space.
And neither can viruses, Ruben. Viruses cannot travel through the vacuum of space. And it's not like they're blocking spaceships, aliens from traveling back and forth, because we have people going through teleportation to Mars all the time. We had, was it the Kree who invaded? So whatever this shield was didn't even work. Very silly. So every issue that Stephanie Phillips writes with the Phoenix in it makes me think more and more that Chris Claremont was right to begin with. After Dark Phoenix, Jean should have just stayed dead. Come at me, folks. I know you Phoenix stans don't like that. You know it's true. Every story involving Jean since Dark Phoenix has been kind of nonsense. So
yeah, they should just basically depower her, right?
They either have to kill her or nerf her.
I think they've done it a few times, but just say the Phoenix is not part of her anymore.
But they've leaned so hard into she is the Phoenix that they've really allowed the writers to write them into this corner. Because anything they do to depower her is going to make lots of people angry. But there's just no way to write a meaningful story with Jean Grey anymore. And it's proven. Stephanie Phillips has proven it over the course of the past 18 issues that she's written. So as this issue opens, Carol, who is currently in possession of the Phoenix Force, has just been attacked by Madeline Pryor, but she thinks she's been attacked by Jean Grey herself because Carol, as written by Stephanie Phillips, is very dumb.
Yes.
So dumb. Deeply stupid. Maddie has been, I guess, trying to make Carol think that she didn't deserve the Phoenix Force, so Carol would give it up to her.
Yeah.
Which I can see where that's an okay idea on paper written down in one sentence, but it didn't play out in these 3 issues. Also, Madeline Pryor is, again, I'm going to say something I said for the last issue, barely a character.
Yeah.
Madeline Pryor has had really interesting character growth over the course of Krakoa.
That's the thing that makes me most angry about this issue. So I was like, this is character assassination, right? Like, I don't think that... didn't Jean and Madeline, like, even reconcile in that horrible...
yeah, it sure seemed like it.
With the Void, right? Like,
yeah, Jean even, like, agreed that she
shared all the memories and
come back to life, share the memories. But yeah, in this series, Madeline Pryor is not that character. She's just
this evil
witch who wants to steal the power away from Jean.
Well, she's from a different reality, right? We're going to go with that, so that explains why she's...
Could be. I guess that explains everything.
Yep.
And I don't even know, what do you think Madeline Pryor has been up to in the 10 years of the Age of Revelation? Has she been here messing around in this town of, whatchamacallit, Massachusetts the whole time? Beverly, Mass?
Yeah.
Very weird.
There is one line that I laughed about. Maybe you're going to get to it, but...
Okay.
When Jean talks about how she was, like, not dead, and she was just regenerating, and then Carol's like, it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'm with you. Like, she was taking her sweet ass time.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like writers think that lampshading the inconsistencies in their own books makes it okay. It doesn't work like that. It's still bad, even though you point out that you know it's bad, right? You should have fixed it, not pointed out, hey, this part is bad. So in this issue, Jean Grey herself shows up out of nowhere because it's time for her to show up. We get a bit of a fight. Jean and Carol get sealed inside of a force field where they can bicker for a moment before they get to hug it out. Carol really does start to lose control of the Phoenix Force. And so Jean Grey, who is the Phoenix, remember, she reabsorbs the Phoenix Force from Carol Danvers, who isn't the Phoenix, and taking the power back kills Carol Danvers. Ruben, why does that happen? You'd think it would make her feel better to not have to carry this immense power anymore, right?
Yeah. The same reason that the shield around the planet killed Jean the first time.
Just to make the plot happen.
Just does, yeah.
Yeah, we never really find out what happens to Madeline. Maddie just falls right out of the book. We never see her again. Does she live? Does she die? Who knows? Jean decides, I'm not going to go out and be the Phoenix and take out Dougie, who's been ruining this world and wants to turn the whole planet into himself, which you'd think the Phoenix would be interested in. Now, the Phoenix, Jean, decides to stay in this little town of Beverly, Massachusetts, and continue to protect just this town from the X-Virus. So the whole point of this series seems to be, we got to come up with some excuse why the Phoenix doesn't undo the whole plot line, right? Because Phoenix is so strong, Phoenix could end this whole thing with no problem. So let's kill her off for a while and then say, oh, she's stuck in Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why this exists. There is a little bit of a subplot about that group of townsfolk who've been duped by that Hank guy into doing Madeline's bidding. That's barely developed. They come back at the end, kind of like all these books seem to have all the people team up to fight the villain and support the hero moment. We had to have that for a little bit. Initial concept, we really gave this book a chance, Ruben. No one can say that we were against this book in the beginning.
The first issue.
Can't say we're prejudiced. We were surprised we liked it. But the idea of Carol Danvers having this kind of bottled off little section where she's figuring things out, that was kind of neat. Madeline Pryor being lurking on the edges was kind of neat. But the way the story was told just was no good. The art here is mostly fine. The fight is just back and forth energy blasts with no real background, so the fight scene was boring. I'm going to give it a slightly higher score than Sabretooth just because there is like the tiniest little nub of a concept here that could be all right, but you can barely see it anymore. So I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 10. How about you?
I'm just going to go with the 3 again. I don't see anything more redeeming in this story. I guess the art's slightly better, but the characters are characters of themselves. It's not even fun. And I did feel a little cheated having initially thought that maybe this was the redemption arc for this writer. Yeah.
So this is the end of Stephanie Phillips's time on Phoenix. She had said that she's leaving Phoenix. She was not kicked off, Ruben. It was not canceled. Nobody say that it was canceled. She chose to leave because she was going to get to write her dream character. And have you seen what her next assignment is? It is part of Marvel.
Mm-mm.
She is going to be the new writer on Daredevil.
Oh, God.
Which, thankfully, Ruben, that's not our problem.
Save that for the X-Men podcast.
No,
thank you.
Not the X-Men podcast. That's Jim's problem.
Yes.
Because we are done with Stephanie Phillips. She got our hopes up, Ruben, on the first issue of the series, and then dashed them on the rocks. And that's all I have to say about Binary. I think that's all that needs to be said. Don't you agree?
Yes. Nothing more needs to be said.
Let's just wrap things up and talk about next week. Next week, we have Unbreakable X-Men, number 3 of 3. So that'll be about all that weird afterlife stuff and Galactus and Gambit and that nonsense. We have Iron and Frost, number 3 of 3, which I kind of remember that being about Tony Stark being down in that hole and turning into his own armor. We have Sinister's 6, number 3 of 3, which theoretically they're trying to assassinate Dougie. Think that'll probably not work, but we'll find out. Also next week is Longshots, number 3 of 3. I'm not reading that. New Avengers, number 7. We might talk about that.
Yeah.
And Nova Centurion, number 2, which I'm definitely going to read. Probably don't need to talk about on the podcast.
I'm a lot more excited about those last 2 books than the actual books that we're supposed to record.
Next week's X books are kind of not the cream of the crop, not the ones that I'm super excited to see finish up.
Yeah.
Well, that is all I have to say this week, except, boy, we had some technical issues that I hope listeners, I hope you're shocked and surprised to hear me say that, because everything's been squeaky clean from your point of view. So, Jim, good luck with that. Sorry if we gave you some troubles there. And while Jim's doing all this editing for us, Ruben, what can our wonderful listeners do for themselves?
Read more X-Men comics.
Save that for the X-Men podcast.
Get ready, everyone, and you just might survive. Ruben and Jason are here with their X-Men deep dive. Going through all the X-books is their mission, so get ready for the Learned Edition. Things are getting weird in here. Ruben hopes another sword book gets announced this year. It's the Weird Dose of X, the X-Men comic show. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed not to blow, except your mind. It's the Weird Dose of X, the X-Men comic show. It's the Weird Dose of X, guaranteed not to blow, except your mind.
That is illogical. Odors cannot travel through the vacuum of space.